it's I would say it's like in any company. When you talk about digitalization or digital transformation and bringing in new things, the old guards don't want to change. And that's the blood honest truth. Now, with the old guards not wanting to change, but yet in terms of strategy, you're talking about changing. I'll give you a very simple example. A few weeks ago, maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago, Mama Samia spoke about we need to go into this blockchain issue, right? But in the same space, 2 weeks ago, we get into this whole taxation of mobile money, et cetera, et cetera. These are two contradicting things. One kills technology, the other one bolsters technology. So what also always baffles me is that even from a company's perspective, what you will have is you will have people who say, we want to digitalize, the future is digital, blah, 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 blah. And then when you tell them, hey, here's the digital invoice for us to digitalize, this is the way we need to go, then they don't do it. And that for me, that's a statement. I don't need you to touch on that. But however, if we were to look at our 60 million people in Tanzania, first, second, third, and fourth industrial revolution, where is the majority of our people?
Yeah, so that's a very, very good question. And I've been getting it a lot from people saying, maybe you're touching top layer of technology. You're talking about sexy stuff for people living in urban area. What about somebody in Namtumbo or Songea, somewhere there? So let me tell you some few important facts. Okay. First of all, Africa is getting more urbanized than ever before. So Africa will be more urbanized in the next few years compared to any time of the period of the past. Another thing which is also very important, as I told you, 15 of the fastest growing cities are all in Africa. You're getting me? Another thing that is another important fact, Africans are getting more educated. The middle class is also increasing, and all those are facts. So technology is no longer a luxury to us, because a lot of these kids who are already in town right now, there's no way you're going to tell them to go back to the village or in the kulima. It's not working. Even in the village, the kids are driving border. They're not staying in the farms. And that's a fact. You're getting it. So ideally is we have to respond to these changes accordingly and strategize accordingly to what is needed. Now, going back to your question, I would say we need a blended approach. We need traditional industries as well as we need the new industries that are coming up. We don't need one or the other, so we need both of them. We can have traditional industries, and again, even for the traditional industries, I will encourage non-smokestack industries in places where we feel there's not any other option instead of putting those industries so that we can be able to create jobs. But in no way we should underestimate the role of technology and digital transformation, because that's where most of the job will come. I'll tell you right now, a young photographer in Dar es Salaam is getting more money than a low-level public employee. Is guaranteed to make $200 every weekend. For 4 weekends, that is $800. They don't need to be supported by their parent, and that's a fact. A graphics designer is making significant amount of money. A young person who is working as a social media influencer is making more money than a person I hired.
But you wanna wait. Compared to what? Okay. A statistician, a mathematics major who has a master's degree, has an undergraduate degree in discrete math or numerical analysis. Wapo hapa chuo kikuu wana graduate, si ndio? Ukimpeleka kwenye kazi ya serikalini au an actuarian, laki 8 kwa mwezi, si ndio? Laki 8, 1.5 kwa mwezi. But the same guys were being employed by Tala to do the Tala modeling and stuff. They were getting $85,000 a month. So when you say that a photographer in Tanzania is making 250,000 shillings, which is $100 a week, so he's making $400 a week. Yet the guys who are actually building these systems out in Silicon Valley, in Israel, in China, these guys are making $3-4 million a year. So what is it? I mean, do you think that we are actually thinking big enough in terms of fourth industrial revolution? Because those guys are using the same laptops. That guy who's making $100 a week to write code, and he gets paid, you know.
I think, I don't know if you can hear me.
10x that a week working Ukonje. In fact, these days you don't even have to work. Google says you don't even have to. So I'm saying, are we thinking big enough? Are we, when we talk about education, you know, you sit on the advisory board for ICT for DIT. What's that supercomputer doing at DIT? What is it crunching? Give it to us. Let us play with it. You know, you want us to do Bitcoin, you want us to do blockchain, give it to us, let's play with it.
Yeah.
But you're keeping it inside. What is it crunching? The number of flowers falling at Cocoa Beach.
Yeah, so the thing is, we have to start from somewhere.
No, Jumane, this business of starting from somewhere, we've been saying this for the last 10 years.
No,
I'm 45. I moved to Tanzania when I was 27.
Listen to me, and you know this already. Silicon Valley is almost 70 years old. Silicon Da is less than 10 years old. You're getting me?
No. Silicon Da cannot be less than 10 years old, because my mother started the first computer training center in 1989. So if we count correctly, Silicon Da started in Kariako with My Computer, Agumba Computer, CTBA, Computer Center, Raha. Okay, we had Tritel, we had all those. It just depends on when you. So it's a matter of context of when you start counting.
So basically, outside me and you who are privileged to access those opportunities, because we were actually structured in a place where we can be able to access and afford those opportunities. Very young Tanzanians, and I mean very few Tanzanians have got access to computer before the 2010s, and that is a fact. I was studying at Tanzania. That's where I was exposed to computer science. I was in Form 2. And out of a school of 2,000 people, we had a computer lab with just 3 computers. And sometimes I was like, man, I was so lucky to even take a look into that computer lab. So again, leaving those things aside and coming back to the core conversation, I think we are facing some obstacles, yes, but we're heading to the right direction. The DIT discussion about the supercomputers is something which we have been pushing. Personally, I've been pushing about it. We started the Tanzania AI Lab for the specific reason. You need to build a community around artificial intelligence. You need to build talent and expert for those computers to be used. Otherwise, they're just going to be there. So ideally, it's a conundrum. Yes, you have the infrastructure, but you cannot capitalize on the infrastructure if you don't have talent and skills.
So in addition to that, before I jump, sorry for cutting you off, because we have to jump into the questions. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So are we users or creators? Are we adopters, or are we going to be creating? And is this going to be a new form of digital colonialism? You know, you get us addicted. You know, if you look at the United States, when the colonizers went into the United States, they took in alcohol. We know American Indians couldn't process alcohol very well, and that created a whole bunch of problems. When colonizers came to Africa, they brought religion and they brought other things. Okay. Now, what if they're bringing us WhatsApp and WeChat and all of that, so that we're not to Pumbaza, and then we're not actually owning the narrative of any of these systems? What are we doing about that? Is the government looking, you know, I always hear the government talking about cyber security. No, is it cyber warfare? There's a difference between cyber security and cyber warfare, you know? And are we looking at those things in terms of we're actually being infiltrated from a technological perspective in a very different way? You look at now the United States says Huawei equipment can't be sold in the United States. TikTok cannot, they're looking at banning TikTok in the United States. What are we doing? We're just users.
Great. So can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great. So the thing is, with the digital colonialism, I think I wrote a complete article about this, about Power 4.0 and the shifting of the global dynamics when it comes to the competition between technology and the political landscape in the world, but also as well as in Africa, and the roles that digital platforms can play. I think it's too late to say that we'll create our own version of WhatsApp to compete with WhatsApp, or our own version of Google to compete with Google. The only thing is that how do we create enough talent and skills that can capitalize on technology and digital transformation to solve our own problems? Because that is the most important part. Like, how do we create those talents to address our own local problems? And when it comes to international platforms, we can do what already other countries in advanced economies are doing, to have a candid and open conversation with these companies on how are they getting into their market, to revisit the privacy issues, to revisit regulation issues, to revisit their business model, to revisit their taxation policies and everything. We can actually do that. But saying that you can stop them because they're colonizing us, or saying that we can afford to get into a battle with them, these are the people who can influence the US election. These are the people who can influence how big brands in the world are being perceived. So it's not an easy war. It's a war that US is losing. It's a war that China is also losing in its own country. It's the likes of Alibaba and Tencent. So the issue is, how do you live with them in such a way that you create a win-win platform for your people so that they can benefit from this platform? You have ladies that are selling their stuffs on Instagram. They are completely relying on Instagram to generate money purely. You have governments that are lobbying for policy change. They are running campaigns around COVID-19 using Twitter and Facebook. So these platforms have become part of our lives. The issue is, how do we live with this platform side by side while protecting the interests of our people, as well as making sure our people, from a positive perspective, they are making the most out of this platform, and from the negative perspective, how we protect them from those negative consequences.